Have you ever stared down a new year, a fresh week, or even just a Monday morning, brimming with the sincerest intention to change, to exercise daily, to meditate, to journal, to cook wholesome meals? We all have. For a day or two, perhaps we embrace these healthy routines, feeling the satisfying hum of progress. But then, almost inevitably, they morph from aspiration to arduous task before quietly slipping away. It's a frustrating paradox, isn't it? Good habits, the ones that promise transformation, feel like trying to grasp smoke. Yet, the unwanted ones, the junk food, the endless scrolling, the procrastination, cling to us like a second skin, stubbornly resisting every attempt to shed them. We resolve, we strive, we occasionally even burst with motivation. Yet so often, a year later, we find ourselves tracing the same old patterns. Why is this so? Why is it so easy to repeat the detrimental and so impossibly hard to embrace the beneficial? The answer, it turns out, lies not just in what we try to change, but how we approach the very act of change itself, and, more profoundly, who we believe we are in the process. Imagine, if you will, an onion, not the kind that makes you cry, but one whose layers represent the different levels at which transformation can occur. At the outermost layer we find outcome change. This is where most of us begin. We set goals. I want to lose weight. I want to publish a book. I want to win a championship. These are about the results, the finish lines we yearn to cross. Peel back that layer, and you arrive at processed change. Here, our focus shifts to the systems and routines. I'll implement a new gym routine. I'll declutter my desk for better workflow. I'll develop a meditation practice. These are about the actions we take, the things we do. Most habits we attempt to build reside here. But then, we reach the deepest, most fundamental layer, identity change. This is concerned with our core beliefs, our worldview, our self-image, the very judgments we hold about ourselves and others. Most of our assumptions and biases are etched into this profound layer. Outcomes are what you get. Processes are what you do. Identity is what you believe. The crucial insight, the one that often eludes us, isn't that one layer is inherently better than another. All are useful. The problem lies in the direction of our efforts. Many of us approach habit change by focusing on the outcome. We say, I want to be skinny, and then devise a diet plan. This is an outcome-based habit approach. But what if we flipped the script? What if we started by asking, who do I wish to become? This leads us to identity-based habits. Consider two individuals, both trying to quit smoking, offered a cigarette. The first person politely declines. No thanks, I'm trying to quit. A reasonable response, certainly, but listen closely. They still identify as a smoker who is trying to be something else. Their belief system remains rooted in their old identity, even as their behavior strives to break free. Now, imagine the second person. They smile and say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. A subtle difference in wording, yet a seismic shift in identity. Smoking is no longer a part of who they are. It belongs to a former self. They have redefined their core being. This is the profound truth we often miss. We chase goals and implement plans, yet fail to address the underlying beliefs that fuel our actions. Our old identity, a powerful, often subconscious force, can subtly, relentlessly sabotage our new aspirations. Just as a democracy's foundation rests on beliefs like freedom, and a dictatorship's on absolute authority, our personal systems of action are built upon a system of beliefs. Behavior that clashes with our self-image, our deep-seated identity, simply will not last. You might crave financial abundance, but if you fundamentally see yourself as a consumer rather than a creator, you'll perpetually gravitate towards spending, not earning. You might desire vibrant health, but if comfort always trumps accomplishment in your self-narrative, relaxation will win over rigorous training every time. It is incredibly difficult to change your outward habits if you never reshape the inner convictions that sculpted your past behaviors. You have new goals, a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. Take Brian Clark, an entrepreneur who shared a remarkable story. For as long as I can remember, he recounted, I've chewed my fingernails. It began as a nervous tick, evolving into an ingrained ritual. One day, he resolved to stop. Through sheer willpower, he managed it, but then he did something utterly unexpected. I asked my wife to schedule my first ever manicure, he explained. His logic was economic. If he paid to maintain his nails, he wouldn't chew them. Yet, the true impact wasn't monetary. The manicure made his nails look numb. The manicurist even said that other than the chew and jai, had really healthy, attractive nails. A wave of pride, an emotion he'd never associated with his fingernails, washed over him. Suddenly I was proud of my fingernails, and even though that's something I had never aspired to, it made all the difference. I've never chewed my nails since, not even a single close call. Brian's transformation wasn't just about stopping a bad habit, it was about adopting a new identity. He became someone who took pride in his nails, someone who cared for them. When a habit entwines itself with your identity, it becomes the ultimate intrinsic motivator. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's an entirely different, infinitely more powerful thing to declare. I'm the type of person who is this. The more pride you invest in an aspect of your identity, the more ferociously you'll guard the habits that uphold it. Proud of your hair, you'll cultivate rituals to care for it. Proud of your strength, you'll never skip a workout. Once your pride enters the arena, you'll fight tooth and nail to protect that self. True, lasting behavior change is, at its heart, identity change. Motivation might spark a habit, but it's becoming part of who you are that truly makes it stick. Anyone can muster the will to hit the gym once, or eat healthy for a day, but without shifting the underlying belief system, those improvements remain fleeting. They are temporary until they become woven into the fabric of your being. The goal, then, isn't simply to read a book. It's to become a reader. The goal isn't to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. The goal isn't to learn an instrument. It's to become a musician. Your behaviors are a mirror reflecting your identity. What you do proclaims who you believe yourself to be, whether consciously or not. When your behavior and identity align perfectly, you're no longer battling for change. You're simply acting in harmony with who you already believe you are. Yet, like a double-edged sword, this powerful mechanism can work against us. Once an identity takes root, our allegiance to it can become a formidable barrier to growth. How many of us walk through life in a kind of cognitive slumber, blindly adhering to narratives like, I'm terrible with directions, I'm not a morning person, I'm always late, or I'm bad at math. When you've repeated such stories to yourself for years, these mental grooves deepen, becoming accepted as immutable facts. You start to resist actions that contradict who you are, feeling an internal pressure to maintain yourself. The more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the harder it is to dislodge. The biggest obstacle to positive change, whether for an individual, a team, or an entire society, is identity conflict. Good habits may make rational sense, but if they clash with your self-image, they will wither before they can take root. Over the long haul, the real reason we falter in sustaining habits isn't just busyness or fatigue. It's that our self-image gets in the way. This is why clinging too tightly to any single version of our identity is counterproductive. Progress demands becoming the best version of yourself necessitates a continuous editing of your beliefs, a constant upgrading and expansion of your identity. So, how, then, does this transformation begin? How is this powerful identity formed? And how can we sculpt new aspects that serve us, while gently erasing those that hinder? The beautiful truth is this: your identity emerges directly from your habits. You aren't born with preset beliefs. Every conviction, every self-perception is learned and conditioned through experience. Your habits are the embodiment of your identity. When you make your bed each morning, you don the mantle of an organized person. When you write each day, you embody the identity of a creative. When you train consistently, you become an athletic person. The more you repeat a behavior, the more profoundly you reinforce the identity linked to that behavior. The very word identity stems from the Latin essence. Your identity, quite literally, is your repeated being. Whatever you believe about yourself right now, you hold that belief because you have gathered evidence for it. 20 years of Sunday church attendance is evidence of religious devotion. An hour of biology study every night is evidence of showing up at the gym, even in a snowstorm, is evidence of commitment to fitness. The more compelling the evidence, the more unshakable the belief. For years, the author of these words didn't see himself as a writer. His teachers certainly wouldn't have called him a standout. Yet, when he began his writing journey, he committed to publishing a new article every Monday and Thursday for several years. As the articles piled up, as the evidence mounted, so too did his identity as a writer. He didn't start as one, he became one through his habits. Of course, habits aren't the only things that shape your identity, but due to their sheer frequency, they are often the most influential. Every life experience subtly alters yours, but you wouldn't call yourself a soccer player after kicking a ball once, or an artist after a single scribble. It's the repetition, the accumulation of actions, that gradually shifts your self-perception. One-off experiences fade. Habits, reinforced by time, solidify. In this profound way, the journey of building habits is, in fact, the journey of becoming yourself. This is a gradual, daily. We don't transform by a sudden, grand declaration. We change incrementally, bit by bit, habit by habit. We are in a constant state of Each habit is like a quiet suggestion whispered to your subconscious. Hey, perhaps this is who I am. Finish a book. Perhaps you are the type of person who likes reading. Go to the gym. Perhaps you are the type of person who likes exercise. Practice guitar. Perhaps you are the type of person who likes music. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you aspire to become. No single vote, no solitary instance will overhaul your beliefs. But as the votes steadily accumulate, so does the undeniable evidence of your new identity. This is the subtle power of small habits. They provide tangible proof of a transformed self. And when a change is meaningful, it is in fact enormous. That is the paradox of small improvements. Bringing it all together, The path to changing who you are is through changing what you do. Each time you write a page, you are a writer. Each time you practice the violin, you are a musician. Each time you start a workout, you are an athlete. Each time you encourage your employees, you are a leader. Beyond the immediate results, each habit teaches you something far more vital. To trust yourself. You begin to believe in your own capacity. As the votes mount and the evidence solidifies, the very story you tell yourself about who you are begins to rewrite itself. Of course, the converse is equally true. Every time you indulge a bad habit, it's a vote for that identity. But here's the good news. You don't need perfection. In any election, there will be votes for both sides. You don't need a unanimous victory. You simply need a majority. A few votes for an unproductive habit won't sink your ship. Your aim is merely to win the majority of the time. New identities demand new evidence. If you keep casting the same votes you've always cast, you'll reap the same results you've always had. If nothing within you shifts, nothing around you will either. The process, then, is beautifully simple. 1. Decide the type of person you want to be. 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Begin with who you aspire to be, as an individual, a partner, a parent, a professional. What do you stand for? What values define you? If these big questions feel daunting, start with the outcome you desire. I want to lose 40 pounds. Now, work backward. Who is the type of person who could lose 40 pounds? Perhaps it's someone who is disciplined, consistent, and prioritizes health. Your focus shifts from a mere number to embodying the consistent, healthy person. A friend lost over 100 pounds by constantly asking herself, what would a healthy person do? All day long, this question was her guide. Would a healthy person walk or hail a cab, order a burrito or a salad? She reasoned that if she consistently acted like a healthy person, she would eventually become that person. And she was right. This concept of identity-based habits introduces a fundamental truth. Habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your habits. It's a powerful feedback loop. But the key is to let your deepest values, principles, and chosen identity drive this loop, rather than solely chasing external results. The ultimate focus must always be on becoming that type of person, not merely achieving a specific outcome. Ultimately, this journey of habit formation isn't about mere checkboxes or fleeting achievements. It's not about forcing yourself into uncomfortable routines or accumulating a list of productivity hacks. Habits, at their core, are not about having something, more money, less stress, a leaner physique. They are profoundly, intimately about becoming someone. Your habits matter because they are the living, breathing channel through which you cultivate your deepest beliefs about yourself. Quite literally, you become your habits, and in that becoming, you discover the profound power to sculpt the very essence of who you are, one deliberate action at a time.